All right. The time is 6:30 and a quorum being present, I call this meeting to order. First items on the agenda is the approval of minutes for March 5th, 2025 and March 19th, 2025. Is there any discussion or comments on those meeting minutes? They seem pretty straightforward to me.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right. Old business, new business. Agenda item A, public hearing, notice of intent for June Cooney, 0 Livingston Street, Assessors Map 77, Lot 20, DP file number 305-1212. Could you please introduce yourself for the record, and then the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Dick Cuco from Woodland Design. I represent Mrs. June Cooney, who's the owner of the property on Livingston Street. Property contains about 9.5 acres, has about 324 feet of frontage, but the majority of the property is encumbered by either power lines or a wetland area. So Mr. and Mrs. Cooney had hoped to develop the land into an open space residential subdivision where there was a potential yield of 5 to 6 lots, which was going to help fund their retirement. But ultimately, Mr. Cooney passed away and the family's plans changed. So they asked us to take a look at the property, and when we looked at it, we said, yeah, you know, you probably could get 5 or 6 lots in there, but you're going to have to do a major wetland crossing, you're going to have to come under a power line, and it's going to be a very, very expensive road and a lot of tree clearing. So they said, all right, well, what could we do? They said, well, to keep the environmental impact to a minimum, if we went to the Board of Appeals and we got a variance for the frontage, we'll be able to create 2 lots. One lot is a little over 2 acres, the other lot's about 6 acres, and we'll be able to put 2 homes in there and stay completely out of the wetland resource area, stay completely out of the 25-foot no disturb zone, and have a much easier process to follow through and avoid any disruption of any of the resource areas. So they went to the Board of Appeals and they received the variance last Thursday evening to allow them to reduce the frontage on the lots. So on S1, it shows the entire property. And then I did a blow up on S2 so you could see you know, what we're talking about in this area. It looks like there's not much usable land on lot 2, but there is when you think about the power poles are quite a distance to the east and the west. So even though on lot 2 they won't be able to put a garage or a swimming pool or anything like that, the developer is going to eventually, you know, extend the lawn out into that area. So they'll have some, you know, nice passive, you know, recreation land. And when you're driving by, it won't look like as small of an area as it does in here where we are showing the erosion control fences on there. But so all the work is outside a 25-foot no disturb zone. As I said, there's a small encroachment of the deck on lot 2 that goes into the 50-foot no build, but it's under the 120 square feet that's allowed. And the deck actually may even be pulled over behind, closer behind the garage and not even have that. But I wanted to show what would be the worst, you know, case scenario rather than, you know, try to squeeze it in and fool around with it. So, so that's kind of where we're at. You know, we feel that this is the best approach. By the time you build a road, the income to the family would probably be less and the environmental implications would be much greater. There's quite a bit of wildlife back there. There's, you know, a lot of deer that run along the railroad and come across the back of the state hospital property. So that will all stay in a natural state. Pretty much the limit of clearing will be, with the exception of under the power line, will be where we're showing the erosion control. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
All right, so I guess my biggest concern with this is that, like, what we've seen is that a new development goes in, and by development, I mean, this is a pretty small development, but people move in and they immediately want to start clearing even more land from what they bought. So I'm concerned, I'm not super concerned because there's so much room in the back that if they want to clear a few more trees or put a fence in, they could, kind of replicate wetlands elsewhere on the property, because there's
There's a considerable amount of upland.
Yeah.
And we left a little bit of it on each lot. Maybe they want to put a little tree fort out there or something of that nature, but, we were anticipating that the order would have demarcation of the markers in the intervals along that area where we're going to be, the 50-foot, well, we definitely put them on the 25-foot no disturb zone. So that was, my first concern was, what are we going to do? Lot 1's fine. They got room back there, if they wanted to, they could, get a pool in there and still be outside the 50-foot no build zone. But that would be incumbent upon them to have to come back to you folks. And then on Lot 2, like I said, we get out there and we looked at it, and the physical power poles, which show on S2 where they are, it leaves a pretty decent amount of land over there to do some, play volleyball or whatever. And that area is already cleared because it's the power line, so there aren't that many trees in there. And we walked it with Ms. Mahoney last week. There really isn't a lot of big trees that come down. Most of them are kind of like a cedary type of tree in there. I don't think I saw anything over like 8 inches in diameter. So you just think that it's the best approach. And then if we did put a road in, then it would be the town's responsibility to maintain the road and the retaining walls and, what they say, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze.
All right. Anybody else have any comments about this or questions?
I just had a question about, you mentioned something about more lawn, or where was that going to go?
Well, that if you on Lot 2 to the right of the home, that's all cleared now because that's the power line, so it's all clear cut. So we would extend the lawn out into that area so that they'd have a usable area to.
So would that be between the 50-foot and 100-foot buffer zone?
No, it's between the 50 and the 100, correct, yeah. I don't think we'll go all the way across to the stone wall, but enough to make it so that when you're driving by, it looked like a regular lot.
But
Interesting is up like on, I know up on Pike Street, there's a power line, but where the poles are, they're situated back far enough so the homes have a nice lawn area and they keep it well groomed, and same thing over on Kennedy Road. So that was the intent, is to give them a lawn. Whether they take care of the lawn or not is another story. But
So that area is clear cut. It's not maintained lawn right now, but it could, I guess, easily become.
right, yeah, it was all farmland, so there's plenty of loam in there. So what the intention would be, once the power company is out of there, because they're in there right now, they have an order of conditions, and there's new poles like laying on the ground that I assume they're going to be erecting, and they're in the process of doing that now. So when they're gone, the area is going to be kind of all turned up, and obviously to sell these homes, we're going to have to dress that up and replant some nice grass in there so that.
Yeah, it's not super wetlands related, but I know from personal experience, if you have an easement from for the power lines, they contact you about clearing, maintaining that area, and then a year and a half later, that's when they finally get out there to actually do the work because they're so backed up and stuff. And it's like it feels like they didn't even tell you. So I'd hate to see anybody do a lot of work on that area and then have it all clear cut later, the next time they come out and stuff. So that's just
I mean,
something to keep
I don't
in
know
mind.
when they did this one, but it's pretty clear cut. So I assume, I was kind of surprised because the poles that are out there now didn't look like they were, they weren't all wooden poles, they were steel poles, but now they have the new telescoping poles and I don't,
So that area is not part of this lot?
it is,
Oh, it is?
yeah, but the power company has an easement over it.
Okay, all right.
So how are we gonna tag this with the signs at the 25-foot no disturb?
Yeah, there's a potential condition that wetland boundary signs will,
And I would love to include no dumping. Is no dumping on our sign?
not our official,
Because
no.
that lawn is going right there if they're cutting it.
I can add that condition.
I mean, you're to the letter of the law on this one, so I think we just need to be a little bit more careful.
Yeah, that is, you're just talking about like lawn clippings and stuff
Correct.
going,
Well,
yeah, directly into the wetlands.
Right.
and-
I mean, look how close.
Yeah,
I mean, we did it with the person with the pool over there and said, look, no dumping the water from the pool into the wetlands. This is prime, I'm going to walk in the backyard and dump my grass and my leaves.
Yeah.
Right into a resource area.
Yeah, I mean, on the no disturb, we can add another little plaque underneath.
Yeah, let's just define it. Because you know what it is. Somebody buys and someone says you own all there, so next thing you know, you got campers and.
Everybody should get a lawnmower like my son-in-law has. It's one of those robots, and it cuts it every day, and there's no bagging or anything.
Roomba one?
Because it cuts it every day, and it only takes off a little shaving.
all right, and so the wetland boundary signs, I'll read the special conditions in full momentarily, but along the limit of work. So we're not expecting anything past that, like, they have so much, they're going to have so much property in the back, but I don't think it needs to go along the wetland boundaries that they may or may not have. And those are already depicted with flags and stuff, right? They're
I mean,
still there.
If I would suggest from the power line to the stone wall, that's not excessive. Because if we put them we can put them under the power line all we want.
Yeah, power line is.
Yeah. So I'm saying on lot 2, my suggestion would be that we start at the edge of the power easement and we follow the 25-foot no disturb down to the stone wall on the south of the property on lot 1. If somebody wants to, schlep 600 feet in the woods to dump their leaves.
No, I think that's reasonable,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's not unreasonable to do that.
All right, any other questions or comments? Abby, do you have anything you'd like to add? All right. So this is a public hearing. Anybody in the public who would like to get up and make a comment, now's the time to do so. But not seeing anybody rise, could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right, now I'm just going to read out the special conditions. Special conditions may include permanent wetland boundary signs to be installed along limit of work every 50 to 100 feet. No activity shall occur past these signs. Activities including walking, operation of storage or operation or storage of equipment, vegetation removal, digging, or additional fill, as also discussed.
Walking?
What's that?
Did you say walking? I'm sorry.
Oh, no activities shall include past these signs, activities including walking. Yeah, you point that out. I think people can enjoy their property regardless of wetlands, but
Yeah, because there's a lot of blueberries back there. So I can picture, somebody, walk, obviously, they're not going to probably walk to the resource area, but they're going to be walking somewhere out there.
All right, so I'm going to start over. As previously discussed, permanent wetland boundaries signs to be installed along the limit of work every 50 to 100 feet. No activity shall occur past these signs, including operation or storage of equipment, vegetation removal, digging, or additional fill. The applicant shall install and maintain perimeter controls around the area of work to prevent the deposition of debris into nearby resource areas. Perimeter controls shall remain in place until all areas of erodible materials have been stabilized at the site. These controls shall act as a limit of work. No equipment can be stored or work done past that point. Prior to any construction activity commencing, the following must be completed. ESCs shall be installed by the applicant or an agent of the applicant, and the conservation agent shall inspect and approve of the installed ESCs. ESCs shall consist of entrenched silt fence and staked straw wattles. Then, trees to be removed beyond what is already specified in the approved plans may be considered for removal in accordance with the following conditions. Approval must be received from the conservation agent. Then, prior to the end of activity, all exposed soil must be stabilized. And finally, a copy of the wetland delineation for this property must be included in the closing documents for conveyance. Are you comfortable with all of that?
Yes.
All right. If there's no more discussion from the commission, I will take a motion to approve this notice of intent as discussed at this meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well.
Thank you very much.
much.
I apologize for interrupting you. I just when I heard walking, I was like,
Yeah. I went right over that, and then, yeah, that's a little bit extreme. All right, admin reports. We have a Zero service agreement update. I will summarize this as best I can. We're looking at about $400 for the initial fee to get these barrels that are specially designed for the pool party we're going to do. And then there's potentially additional charges if there's contamination. It's like $75 per barrel. And if there's damage to the barrels, it's $175. So I was proposing that we would do the initial fee plus the maximum extent that we could owe. And hopefully it's only going to be $400. But Abby, if you'd like to comment or correct me on anything.
Yeah, so these barrels, the company will drop them off on Friday, pick them up on Monday, and when they pick them up, they'll bring them to a biodigester. So these plants can't be brought to the traditional compost or landfill or anything like that because they will spread. So they'll bring them and they burn them and it turns into energy, which is very cool. I don't really understand how that works. But they said that I can't come with them. But it would cost, if everything went wrong, $1,348. If everything went right, we'll be wrapping them in a tarp and putting big signs on them that says "Don't touch," and I'll check on them to make sure there's no contamination before they pick them up.
So what you thought, 1,400? And,
Yeah,
I mean, I don't say underfunding it.
yeah.
I like that's a not to exceed almost.
Yeah.
If everything goes horribly
Right,
wrong.
if everything goes wrong.
Space shuttle falls on them.
Yes.
Okay. I like the max and then we just don't spend it.
Yeah.
What's the worst come, right?
So if everything goes right, it's going to be how much?
$398.
All right. So, that's very good here. All right, do we have to take a motion on that yet? Or we can take a motion to approve the spending of, what did you recommend?
I would say 1,400 because it was a couple of dollars
$1,400 for this
over.
project.
Perfect, yeah.
I mean, what do you guys think?
I think 1,400
Instead of having to
is-
do it again?
Yeah.
If something goes wrong?
Yeah.
It's just going to go back, so. All right, could I have a motion for $1,400 to be spent, or to?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Do I have all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right, and then 1879 Main Street update. Again, so Treehouse is planning on a small update, or is asking for a small update to their property, the parking lot that we approved a few months ago. And that's all I can really, I think that's the most, it seems like it's a small trench built connecting two basins. But Abigail, if you'd like to fill in any more details.
Yeah, so it's a trench that connects the two basins at the back of the property, and it's going to be about 2 feet wide, 6 inches deep, and so it'll just basically connect. They're hoping to do that. They say that it'll like help improve flow between the two areas, prevent washouts. They're also proposing to now get rid of the chain link fence on the side of the property.
So the chain link fence doesn't cause any issues. Do you know why the installation of the path between the sedimentation forebay and the wet pond is going in? Because there was a lot of discussion to even get the design approved. I mean, they were bringing in lawyers. It was a controversial design, so why are we modifying it at this point in time?
In their letter, they said, sorry, I'm loading.
It says to prevent erosion and keep more stabilize
That's the
it
most.
better, but
That's the
if
most information I have.
that was the case, why wouldn't have this been part of their initial design?
But this was a very,
Yes. That's why I'm,
I
like, the fence
am
is the fence.
100% with
Yeah.
you is, because all that volume and all that was so finite.
Yeah, setting the weir height exactly right.
Right.
I mean,
And
it
it
was
looks like they're adding a channel of riprap.
correct.
You know, why? Like, what was there before? Was that
Correct.
supposed to be wetlands plantings, I think?
Yeah.
So from what I'm hearing from this discussion, instead of allowing this to just be filled in when they come to close out their application as, minor modifications to, like, when they come for approval, we should probably get them in here for an actual minor modification that we can get more details and vote on.
Yeah, I would like to vote on
I think
it.
they need to be in front of us to answer questions.
All right.
I think there's probably a logical answer for it, but I just need to have Jim Hanley, who Maureen or Sever representing civil
Yeah.
design consultants, speak on it intelligently and why the change is being made now.
All right.
I'll have them come for an amended order.
What's that?
An amended order?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, amended, yeah, that's what I meant.
That too, right.
Yeah. All right, I think that's it for this meeting. Is there any other discussion that we'd like to have? If not, could I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Chair votes aye as well.